Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker.
And we're going to talk tonight about our legacy, and the legacy is our birthright, our inheritance, our gift. And if you will, several of the verses in the Bible, if you'll get out your Bible, if you have a Bible with you, turn to Deuteronomy 4 and 10. We will go through that in just a minute. But first of all, I want to talk about, I know there's a few people here that love the Tennessee game, so if you will stand up and show them the Tennessee. Here's our Tennessee volunteer right here, and a few others. Give her a hand, give her a hand. We allow Tennessee people to be right here in Alabama. So, and I want you to think about the hats we wear in life. Sometimes we love Tennessee. I went to a church in Alabama one time, and the man was from Auburn. And this few years, half a dozen years ago, and my brother played for the Razorbacks in Arkansas. So that day, that particular night before, Saturday before, Arkansas actually beat Auburn. I know that's a rare thing, but it did happen. So the preacher wouldn't come up on the stage, and the song leader was just leading, started several songs we didn't even know he was going to start. Finally, the song leader said, "Are you going to come up and preach?" He said, "No, I'm back here recruiting for Auburn to get some new ball players." We in Alabama and the South know that it's really, we love the games. How many of you had someone that went to Auburn? We'll go ahead and find out. How many of you had someone went to Alabama? Okay, there's some more. What about David Lipscomb? All right. And what? I heard that. What about, did anybody have any relatives go to Freed Hardeman? Oh, there you go. See, there's some of them. My cousin was the president of Freed Hardeman, and I know I have his book around here somewhere. E. Claude Gardner. He was the president for 20 years, and he was there for many more years. What we're going to do tonight is talk about the fact that even though we all wear a lot of hats in life, she might wear that one. This is one. Now, for me, I used to pick cotton in Arkansas, and this kind of bonnet I wore when I picked cotton. So how many of you have ever picked cotton or chopped cotton or had lived on a farm or knew anybody that did? I really didn't like that job, and too much, but I was good at it because I had 4 brothers and I had to beat them because I was the only girl of all 5 of us. And so we wear a lot of hats in life, don't we? How many of you have a mother? Had a mother? Let's see. You're not really sure.
I did.
Okay, how many of you had any siblings? She had a twin, identical twin sibling, and I asked her how did her husband know which one to marry, and if they were identical twins, they could have switched out. And she had a date with him one night, and the other twin sister, identical twin, have one. How many of you have daughters, or sons, or dogs, or cats? I heard about your dog that got sick. Ours got into some poison. I guess that's what it was, from the neighbors. I never really knew. So we took our favorite babysitter my children had was named Linda. So they named the dog Linda. Not really the most name you would normally name, but to them that was a really special name. So one day when the dog got sick, we took her to the veterinarian. And I was explaining to my daughter, she was just a little tiny one, I said, the veterinarian is an animal doctor. She was totally quiet, didn't say another word. She watched that doctor take care of her little puppy. On the way home, she said, that animal doctor looked just like a man. Have you ever had a challenge with your words that you say? They don't always communicate exactly what you were thinking they should say. Now, my husband he's the director of engineering at Spores Industry. They just asked him to come back just recently. And he's a Penn State graduate. We don't hold that against him, especially when he got whomped the other day by one of our Alabama team. And I go a lot of places to a lot of nursing homes, and I always try to take everybody some little gift. And they love bright, colorful things. So if you ever go to a nursing home, how many of you remember Barbara Friend? She's right over here. Precious lady. She asked me to come over there and speak to her group a lot. But we were in Alaska speaking just recently, and I like the Aurora Borealis. How many of you ever been to Alaska? Let's see. Oh, you have? You've been there? Oh, and Tom had, Dr. Tom. Well, we got on the train and we rode north and we stayed at a place in Wasilla Resort, they called it. And outside there was ice. It was this in January, and we were at Lake Lucille, and it was a truck, a Jeep, and several cars that were there on the ice. I said, Tony, look, they're driving those vehicles right on the ice. I said, they stopped and they stayed there for hours. I said, what are they doing? He said, they're ice fishing. And so it was so interesting that you read about it or even see it on television, but when you see it in person, you just can't believe it, that thing that they do. And then we took the train and saw the moose. Now somebody said, oh, I just saw a bunch of moose. Somebody said, there's 16 moose out there. And they had a big article, headline in the paper. Road kill moose, somebody has to come help, and they take that meat and immediately give it to the children's homes. That's good meat. They use that meat, the moose meat. I don't know what else you call it, but moose meat. But anyway, I thought, we will never see that in the Huntsville Times headline. Roadkill moose, come and help us cut it up for the children's home. But now, I know that George was born here in Alabama.
Right here in Huntsville.
Right here in Huntsville. How many of you were born in another state? I know Tony was. Look at that. I can't believe that. That's amazing. I would love to hear where each one of you, if he hadn't cut me short and make me talk such short. See, I can work a talk for 3 hours.
3 hours.
30 minutes, 3 days, 3 hours. I gave each one of you take-home things because I didn't think I might get everything, but I did want to tell you that we're going to be talking about the gift that God gives us, and the gift is our birthright or our legacy or our inheritance that we can pass on to other people. That we have been given that God gives that to us. Now, I would like, Tony, if you would please, if you'll read that Deuteronomy 4:10, or a little bit of it anyway. And I wrote the most important things. It's on your piece of paper there. And
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
10, especially concerning the day you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, when the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, and I will let them hear my words.
There it is. Hear my words.
That they may learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and that they may teach their children.
That's the thing, teaching our children. Now, our children, for Tom and Donna, we're all their children because we're in their world. And so our children, our grandchildren, all of these people that are in our world, paths we cross in life, lives we touch, that is like our children, grandchildren, them that are afar off. And it commands us, well actually, it doesn't command us, it just says. And if you go on down and read Deuteronomy 11:19, Tony, I don't know how fast you are, but we'll find out. He's pretty fast, he caught me. But no, I had to pay the $5 because he was in the Marine Corps and he had no money, he said. When we got up there to get our license, I started leaving, and that lady said, who's going to pay for this? I said, didn't he pay for it? He'd gotten gone the day before. She said, no. She said, that'll be $5. Man, I was lucky to have $5 myself.
Bonnie,
I collected my $5.
that was a test to see if you were serious.
I've been collecting my $5 every day.
I had to do the same thing.
You have to do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, Tony.
You shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
What I want you to do is write down your legacy. I want to encourage you to do that. Write down your life story. Think back. If you could go back 5 generations, 4 generations, 3 generations, what it was like to live in Greece, and see what the world was like at that time, and see what it was like when my great-grandfather. Wouldn't it be great if we could read those stories? You are the only ones that can give that legacy, that gift, that inheritance, that birthright to your world, whoever your loved ones are. And you need it so you, every time you sell a house, you can say, here's a book. And it'll be like, now we wrote about our daughter. Our daughter was a Russian interpreter. She took $1 million to the former Soviet Union. That book looks real, but she got killed. But I wrote about those stories about her when she'd write those stories about what happened in Russia. And as she would take people, she learned in Dallas and in Christian Nation in Dallas. There was a language school, and then here at Huntsville, UA Huntsville, she learned Russian. And she would take people, if you want to go to Russia, she could go, she'd be your interpreter. And they did street ministry, and she learned a lot of songs. So, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I miss her because she and I would go places, I'd speak and she'd sing. And I miss her, but I'm not sad that she's not here, going through whatever our government's doing now. But Tony and I had a lot of challenges, and you know, we've had 20 years of wonderful married life. That's not real bad out of 53. You got that? Yeah. So we wrote a book about how the Lord put our marriage back together, and it has what's called analysis action section, and we do, especially for people that are thinking about getting married, relationships, we do workshops. It started out with this, and then it's been updated, and then every time we would have these analysis action sections written in with yellow, because most people's mother's daddy said don't write the books. And so anyway, then it got updated and transferred over. But what I want to encourage you to do, we were over speaking in 7 islands, and we went to Puerto Rico, and this was in front of a waterfall there. This is called Just Flow. And it's about how we can flow in our life with, you know, there's about 85% of things that Tony does that I kind of like about him. There's 15% that drives me up a wall. I would like to punch him for it. But I figure, okay, 85%, that's not really bad, so I just have to forget the other 15%. So that's what I tell all these young people. I said, you don't need to get me getting a divorce.
Do you want to know what my ratio is? I better not say.
But let's say, yeah, it's not easy. But what you need to learn is just flow. Now, what you can do, you can get, how many of you have access to a computer? Or you have some grandchild, or some neighbor, or some friend, or that can get into the computer. You can use a tape recorder. They've got these little jazzy deals now. You can put them around your neck, turn them on, and tape whatever you want to in these tape recorders. And they can plug right into the computer, and it will transfer it into words, and you got a book. And it doesn't matter. See, just go to Kinko's and have a little thing put on, bring it to church, and your words then can be a book. And then if your kids, somebody loves you enough, or your neighbors, they can have that made into what I call a real book. But this is okay. I'd love to have this, my great-grandfather. Now, my grandparents did write, I better have that, Let Us Make Man. Well, that's the name of it. It's here somewhere.
It fell off in the back.
There's one this. Anyway, oh yeah, you can go to Walmart, get this kind if you want to, and tape it on there.
It might be one that fell.
Yeah, one did fall down. And so then, if you do it, one of my good friends wrote a book. We convinced him to, and he died right after that. Not that if you write a book, you're going to die right there. But the thing is, unlocking your legacy, got to do the word. Tony, read the next part. Oh,
Okay, the next one is
that's not okay.
influence,
Yeah, go on.
and it is going to be Psalms 34:11.
Okay, let's go to Psalms 34:11.
Could you read a little louder, Tony?
Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. And then right after that, we're going to go to Proverbs 4:4,
Go ahead.
and that is, He also taught me. He said to me, let your heart retain my words. Keep my commands and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget, nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will promote you. She will bring you to honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory she will deliver to you.
What I see is in influences, David invited his children. One of my, I got a whole bunch of different books, Bibles, and he didn't command his children, he invited them. I like that word. He didn't demand that they obey God, but Solomon, of course, did. And following, go ahead, Tony, was still, I got allergy and it's coming up. So go ahead, Tony, read, follow, how we follow. But I want to encourage you that Solomon disclosed his father's, not the Heavenly Father, his daddy's words. He allowed them to be a part of him. And I think that's what the influence that George's mother had on him, or else he'd be Greek Orthodox today. Okay, Tony, go ahead and read about following.
7:16. And it is, Jesus answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone wills to do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God or whether I speak of my own authority. He who speaks from himself seeks his own glory, but he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is true, and the unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law? Yet none of you keeps the law. Why do you seek to kill me?
Well, is that 7:16?
That was a
Oh,
little
okay.
past 16.
Okay. Well, what I get, as you can see, I paraphrase a lot of these, but I see that Jesus asserted that God taught him, or he was God, Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, three in one. But he allowed God. Now, he did go to him, and he was very, wide when he was there praying, his great drops of blood. Can you imagine that? Then he said, let this cup pass from me. But at the same time, even though he would say, why hast thou forsaken me? He still followed what his Father, our God, his God, well, it was him also. I'd like to talk about that someday, but that, he did it anyway. And sometimes you might not have wanted to do what your mother said because your daddy was Greek and your mother was Church of Christ. You might have said, but my daddy says, blah, 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 blah. But you did it anyway. Might not always, how many of you have had times that you really didn't agree with what your parents or somebody in your life had to say? But you did it anyway. And a lot of our children sometimes, and the people in our lives, Donna, just like the one under the bridge that you're influencing. If you had a book to hand to them, and I know Donna writes beautifully, I've done some of her plays. We had a wonderful time over there at your house after you got back from, oh, I loved it. I was glad it was after you got back from England because she served on these paper plates that had all of the royals. I took mine home. I wouldn't eat off of it. I took it home. I ate on the napkin and took my plate home. I've got it in my kitchen right now. Because I thought it was beautiful. Reminded me of when we were in London. But another thing about God, the gift from the parents and the teachers and the influence that David had on his children and how Jesus followed God's teaching. One thing about Jesus that I love is that he was so transparent. If he said, why have you forsaken me? See, he could have covered that part up and not told us that he had this desire to, why do I have to go to the cross? And when he just cried out on Gethsemane and said, please let this, I don't want to go through this. Can't you understand why have you forsaken me? But he did it anyway. We need to be transparent. Tony, if you'll help me with some of these examples while I drink. I'm a drinking woman, I guess.
Would you like a cocktail?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I need.
Well,
give us some examples.
Well, I can tell you about you, or I can tell you about me.
I'd rather
But
hear
the
about
ones you wrote here are about you. Bonnie's parents lived the teaching of the Bible, and I knew them for quite a number of years, and that's true, they sure did. They were married 60 years. My parents were married over 50 years.
Wonderful.
And Bonnie's mother had the chance with an ASU, Arkansas State University scholarship, and when she asked her, Bonnie's dad said, well, I got the scholarship, the kids have all gone through school and high school, and I have the scholarship. And he said, well, who's going to drive you? Because she did not drive a car. She used to drive a Model T when she was younger, but when she got a little bit older, she didn't drive anymore. So she said that just, something died in her, and she just gave up to it, and she stayed on the farm and worked the farm with him. But they did stay married for 60 years. And then she had, her 3 older brothers were in the military services during the Second World War, and Churchill talked Roosevelt into letting him send over about 400,000 German and Italian prisoners of war. And they were housed here in various small cities throughout mostly the eastern United States.
And
Well,
South.
her dad didn't have but one little son, younger yet than Bonnie, and Bonnie was only about 5 or 6, so your brother would have been about 3 or 4, and he had nobody to help him on the farm. I mean, all the boys at one time left. So he went and hired some of the German prisoners. You'd hire them very inexpensively, and I guess there was about, 15 of them at a time would come over. They would work the farm for him. And her parents raised sweet potatoes as well as the cotton and soybeans. They would have a meal. They'd set up like a door off of the barn on some sawhorses, and she would prepare these sweet potatoes, cook them, and have them there for them. Her grandmother churned butter to put really good, healthy butter on them. The German prisoners loved to come to the Taylor farm to work because they were fed good. She would make any amount of sweet potatoes they wanted. They could eat till they were stuffed. But her dad then would learn, well, he knew Greek. He taught himself Greek and Hebrew. And he also then very quickly taught himself some German. And he would teach them the Bible. They could eat, but while they were eating, they had to hear the Bible. Some of them became Christians because of that. So you just never know what your story and what you're doing, what real influence is it. And here he is in broken German talking to these guys that could hardly speak any broken English at all, but nevertheless he communicated to them. He probably did it a lot with kindness, and it worked in a lot of areas. A lot of them did become Christians before they left there.
And once they were repatriated back to the Germany or their home country, they had to go. They couldn't stay. But many came back as professors, and became professors and teachers and engineers and Christians. And a lot of it was because of the way they were treated by the people in the United States. So you never know what influence you will have and what legacy you're going to leave. You can't even, I just remember my dad preaching one time, and he said, when he got back, he said, okay, who was there? And he said, well, it's just not much went on there, an old country church. He said, this one old preacher and his wife were baptized. But they had 7 sons, and every son became a preacher. So you never know what God can do with your life. Because you know, each of us has been placed here on earth and given life for some grand purpose. Each of us was given this gift. It was put in us to develop, and through its development, to bless other people. That is our ordained purpose that God gave us. And your purpose can be accomplished only by you. Doesn't matter what hair or hat you wear in life, or the monkeys on your back. But I'm going to ask you now.